Okay, the Final Four, right? Here.
It's here.
It's April 1st, which is probably the worst day of
I
all
hate
time.
it. I hate it. Just don't
Yeah.
get on the internet on April 1st, right?
Yeah, it sucks. I mean, everything about it. It's so dumb. Like, what is the point? I really don't understand the point of it, but whatever, what can you do? Yeah, we have a Final Four, which I think this year's Final Four is much more intriguing than last year. I think it was hard for it not to be. I mean, I know that FAU is a cute story, and Miami and San Diego State and whatever, but I think this year the appearance of UConn and Purdue, I think, is really what makes this. Like Tennessee wins yesterday. I guess it's a decent story, but it's not the same.
Yeah. I think everybody, I mean, if you're a college basketball fan, you want to see UConn, Purdue. They've been the two best teams all year. I mean, Klingon versus Edey. It's the matchup that everybody wants. What are the spreads on these games? Is this the biggest spreads in a Final Four ever?
I'd like to see what the 2016 spreads were. I guess the scores in 2016 may have been, I don't think anybody expected Villanova to beat Oklahoma by 40, but I think they expected them to beat them. Let me see here. I will say, like, NC State, I think can do what Tennessee did to Purdue, which is make it close for a little bit. UConn 11.5, Purdue 8.5. So okay. I would have to look up the 2016 one just to see, because those are like the Final Four I remember where both games weren't close. Let's see. Villanova was wow. Okay, yeah. Villanova was only a 2-point favorite. Oklahoma was really good that year, but Villanova -2 and North Carolina was -9.5 against Syracuse. But I think the funny thing about that season was the fact that Oklahoma beat Villanova by 23 in December, and then they play in the Final Four, and it was 95-51. So that was the interesting thing there. But I think the scores in this Final Four could mirror that, where I think if Alabama isn't making shots, and we'll get to this a little later, if Alabama's not making shots, UConn's going to kill them. And Purdue, I think if they're making threes, they'll beat NC State by double digits. But just a couple things here from the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight. Arizona lost to Clemson in the Sweet 16. North Carolina lost to Alabama. So everybody wanted to see the R.J. Davis-Caleb Love matchup. They both shot their teams out of games to lose.
Yeah, both 0 from 3. I think 0 of 8 and 0 of 9 between the two.
Hard to be that bad, I think. That's pretty bad. But for North Carolina, I mean, like, Hubert Davis has been to the tournament twice. They're 7-2. They missed the tournament last season. Now you have to move on from the Baycott Davis era. Obviously, recruiting is not a problem there. I'll be curious to see how they approach the portal. Are they going to look? Because I don't know what Harrison Ingram's going to do. They got a couple other freshmen there that are interesting pieces as well. For Arizona, it's another underachieving year. 2 Sweet 16s with 2 of their best teams in forever. They lose in the Sweet 16 again. Tommy Lloyd, they just didn't look like they were prepared or well coached, especially down the stretch. Like, they were taking bad shots. They took forever to foul on that one play, and Clemson just out-schemed them and outplayed them.
And you can't have a guy like Boswell not show up in March, and
that was a concern. The consistency of the guards. Jaden Bradley had a good game, but he also fouled. He had like 4 fouls with like 5 minutes left. So Illinois outlasted Iowa State, of course, before bowing out. Iowa State, a team that is probably, on paper, not quite as good as they should have been. But I think that a lot of that was coaching, a lot of that was system, a lot of that was some of the guards being better this season than what they had last season. But a very good Iowa State team overall. Duke hung in and beat Houston by 3. Jamal Shedd went down with an injury. And then, of course, NC State beats Duke, which Duke did not have it yesterday in terms of scoring. And I think NC State has kind of done that to teams for whatever reason, which is it's still insane to me that this NC State team is where they are.
Yeah, it is. Duke looked frustrated yesterday. I mean, that's the only thing I can really say is that Filipowski looked frustrated. You know, shots weren't falling. They just weren't having a game at all.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, they went 5 for 20 from 3, and McCain made all 5 of those. So that's
Yeah.
they were 0 for 9 outside of him. And like Tyrese Proctor just has not become what I think we all expected. I think he was my breakout player, one of my top breakout players of the year or coming into this season. And he's not the guy. Like 0 for 9 from the field at 0 points in 30 minutes. 4 rebounds, 4 assists. It's not there. So I don't know. I think he'll probably be gone from Duke. It just hasn't worked out. He had an okay regular season, but just not the player that I expected him to be. I think I saw a tweet yesterday that said, "Please don't make Cooper Flagg play with Tyrese Proctor." So that'll be interesting for Duke next season. But also just no bench production, 2 points off the bench. Obviously, you had Mitchell started at 6 points. Proctor started at 0 points. Flopopowski had 11 on 3 of 12 shooting. So yeah, Duke, and he fouled out with like 4 minutes left. And I think the one thing that I can say about NC State right now is they just look confident. Like they look like they know what they're doing. And that's something that can work in March. I mean, this team, they ended the regular season 17-14, and now they're 26-14. I have to think that 14 losses is got to be amongst the most that we've seen in a while for a Final Four team.
Yeah, I would say so. I can't think back that far, but it seems like it.
Loyola Chicago in 2018, they were an 11 seed. They made the Final Four, and they had 6 losses. So that's kind of where you start. But I think it's probably because it's a little rare for maybe Syracuse at some point. I don't know. But like double-digit seeds in a power conference to get this far,
right?
It's usually more of a Cinderella. Okay, so Syracuse had 13 losses going into the Final Four in 2016. So it would be 15 for NC State when they lose to Purdue because they're not beating Purdue. And my take about NC State, how they wouldn't win a tournament game, that's just one of the worst ever. I don't know what you want me to say. I thought my logic behind it was good. I just thought that they were worn down. They just won a ton of games in a row, and I didn't think they'd be able to keep it up. And I was wrong. So there you go. Props to me for admitting that I was wrong, really, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
The UConn dominance is historic. I mean, they beat Stetson by 39. They beat Northwestern by 17. And I'd say UConn played their C game against Northwestern and beat them by 17. They beat SDSU by 30. They beat Illinois by 25. I have a list of teams that have ranked top 5 in offensive and defensive efficiency on KenPom over the past 25 years. There's a lot more than I thought, but it is worthy. It's of note that UConn is first in offense and 4th in defense right now. Most of the other teams that have done it have won national championships. Virginia 2019 national champions, Villanova 2016 national champions, Duke 2010 national champions, Kansas 2008 national champions, North Carolina 07. They lost in the Elite 8 to Georgetown. North Carolina 05 national champions, Illinois 05 runner-up. That should still be under protest, that game. Duke 2004 lost in the Final Four to UConn. Kentucky 03 lost in the Elite 8 to Marquette. Duke 02 lost in the Sweet 16 to Indiana. The interesting thing about the 02 Duke team is that they were first in both and lost in the Sweet 16 to Indiana. So that's a tough one. Duke 2001 national champions. Michigan State 2001 Final Four lost to Arizona. Michigan State 2000 national champions. Duke 1999 runner-up to UConn, and then Duke 1998 Elite 8 lost to Kentucky. So you'll notice, number one, that there's a lot of Duke on this list. There's 98, 99, 01, 02, 04, 2010. And there's a lot more teams that have done it from like 99 to 2010, which I think is a product of how many more programs are like. There's a lot less of the top heavy in a lot of conferences. Like there's still a couple where the conferences are top heavy. There's a lot less of that because if you look from 1998 to 2010, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 teams from 98 to 2010 that are on this list. And from 2011 to now, there are 3. So I think that says a lot about how the game has shifted.
Yeah.
I don't think that it's as easy for like a program like Duke to be that good every like Duke 98, 99, 01, 02, they were top 5 in both and 04. So, I mean, that just doesn't happen very often. And UConn last year, by the way, they were close. They were 3rd and 7th. So they were just outside of the defensive efficiency number. But they're just even better this year. Like, it doesn't make that much sense either because they lost some enormous pieces from last year's team. Sonogo, Andre Jackson, Jordan Hawkins. I mean, to be able to replace those guys and then be even better,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And it takes a certain type of psychotic individual. I think Dan Hurley is that individual.
Yeah.
I think UConn's good.
The two best teams are playing the victim card right now, between Hurley and Edie. I mean, I guess whatever you got to do to stay motivated. So it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a Dan Hurley guy, so
yeah,
not gonna.
I mean, you can't question his basketball mind. So there's something there.
I mean, Dan Hurley. Obviously, the Hurley name is a big part of college basketball throughout history and high school basketball. You look at what their dad did, but obviously Bobby Hurley, great player. I've been a lot of people like, oh, this Dan Hurley guy, just heard of him. Like, come on, folks, it's been going on for a while. I mean, if you look at the 2012 Wagner team with him, they won 25 games. Then he goes to Rhode Island, got to the second round twice, and then he inherited a UConn program at the time that was not very good. And the first 2 years they didn't make the tournament. They lost in the first round when they shouldn't have in 21 and 22. And now they've won 10 straight tournament games, and none of them have been close. So You don't do that stuff on accident. Purdue, they ran away. I think Gonzaga hung around with them in that first half, and they ran away. And then Tennessee really, honestly, I think Tennessee fans are complaining too much about the refs to me, but like saying they were playing 8-on-5, they were playing 2-on-5 because Connect and Josiah Jordan James are the only guys that can make shots.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I know people want to complain about Edie and stuff, but Edie plays a style defensively that he's an Olay guy. If he doesn't have position and he can't make a great block at the end of the game against Connect, by the way, but he doesn't risk foul trouble. I mean, there's some loose balls that you might want to say could have been called, but those are 50-50s. So I don't know. I mean, we've watched Edie for too many years to say that, he's unfairly treated or he's fair. You know what I mean? He gets the benefit. There might be some, but he's 2-time National Player of the Year. So
I like sitting back and watching the national discourse on Edie and Purdue right now. It's interesting. By the way, for Connect to go out there, and I know he took a ton of shots, but he also scored 37. For him to go out there and make 14 shots and score 37, and for them to lose, that is tough.
Yeah.
I mean, they
especially when Purdue shot 25% or something from 3. I mean, they weren't good.
20%. And they missed 12 free throws. Granted, 8 of those were Edie. But I think the thing that killed
2 big ones, Lance Jones and somebody else hit one. I can't remember who it was, but
I think if you look at Tennessee's numbers in this game, I think the fact that they were 13 for 36 from inside the 3-point line is pretty much what did it. They missed a lot of floaters.
Yeah.
Adu had a bad game, went 0 for 4. Awaka was 1 for 3. Maychak was useless in this game, fouled out. I don't know. It's tough. I mean, they only had 6 offensive boards. They struggled to rebound. They were out rebounded. 47-26. There's a lot of numbers that say maybe they should have won this game. They had 8 steals. They shot 42% from 3. I don't know. It's they didn't get enough from their other guys. Like the fact that Josiah Jordan James goes 3 for 4 from the field. How does he only shoot 4 shots in 34 minutes? Like that is insane to me. I guess it's a product of the fact that Connect took 31, but still, just didn't work out. Another year for Rick Barnes where they don't get very far. This is the first Elite 8 for him though at Tennessee. So that's a step in the right direction. 2 Sweet 16s prior last season, and then 2019 they lost to Purdue as well in 19. Then obviously at Texas he got to an Elite Eight in 06, a Final Four in 03. And then I think the Kevin Durant team got to the Elite Eight. I think. No, you know what? No, they didn't. They got to the second round. My God, imagine going to the second round with Kevin Durant. That's brutal.
It's tough.
And to lose by 19 to USC, that's disgusting. But either way, Purdue is the better team between them and Tennessee. And the thing with Edey is this. He gets pounded when he's got the ball in the offensive end, but also, like, I feel like there's a couple fouls that they missed yesterday that he probably should have been called for. And I think that's just a product of the officials, especially I think a lot of these guys probably haven't officiated Edey very often, which would make me think they wouldn't call as much, but that hasn't exactly been the case. He shot 22 free throws yesterday. I don't think there's any denying his ability. Like, we can sit here and look at so many other guys that are close to his height that have been completely ineffective throughout college basketball.
And I close to his height, but like usually a guy that's 7'4", they're built like Wembanyama or whatever the heck his name is. I mean, they're skinny. Edey is just built. I mean, he's a big dude all around, and Purdue made him into that. So props to Painter and those guys for turning Edey into a dominant force. I do got to say, I mean, Edey makes a drop step, and they're like, "Oh, what a phenomenal move!" Like, easy. But yeah, there were a few. I like Awaka's fifth foul was kind of BS. Edey was off balance, fell down. There were maybe a couple that shouldn't have been called, but I don't think that the refs were terrible in that game by any means.
And it's crazy that we can sit here and say that and watch the game, and then it seems like everybody on the internet disagrees, which I think
and we're Illinois fans.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, I think that it's probably the fact that, I mean, a lot of the people that I agree with on this are people who've been watching the Big Ten all year and for the last few years. So I'll more so side with them than the national people who are like, "Oh my God, this is insane." And also these writers kind of go out of their way to prop Edey up as much as possible, which whatever, do whatever you want. You can miss me by saying he's one of the best players in college basketball history. I think he's definitely one of the most accomplished, and one of the, like, he's really good. Like, you know, historically, he's up there.
He's really
for
good
spinners.
for what he does, right? I mean, that's what you can say. I mean, he's a dominant center, but yeah, skill-wise, basketball player-wise, I don't know. I have a hard time putting him up there, but
he's got great touch for a guy who's 7'4". I will say
he's
that.
got great touch. He's got great, balance for a big man. I mean, I don't know if I could walk if I was 7'4", let alone try to play basketball. So
he's up there. I just don't. I think people go out of their way to make sure that they say that, but whatever.
Right.
I think the most impressive thing yesterday with him not scoring 40, I think it was the fact that he played 39 minutes and was effective the whole way. I don't know if he's done that this year.
I don't think he.
Well, Gonzaga, he did it kind of too.
Yeah.
That makes it even more impressive that he played 38 against Gonzaga. Man, yeah. I mean, he's good.
Yeah, and Purdue fans going at UConn fans because Klingon played 20 minutes. I mean, when you're winning by 30, he can play 20 minutes. and his backup would probably start on most D1 teams. So,
by the way, in KenPom game MVPs, the number 2 player in the country is Deron Holmes from Dayton with 18. Zach Edey has 28. Wow. So he has been the player of the game for Purdue in 28 of their 37 games. So
as he should be.
28 of their 33 wins. Yeah. Elsewhere on the list, Jaden Ledee from San Diego State, 17. Xavier Johnson, Terrence Shannon, Enrique Freeman, whatever the hell that dude's name is, from Akron. Shahada Wells, KJ Simpson, all 16. To Lipsy from Iowa State with 15. Anyway, a lot of travels from Lipsy, no doubt. And then Tennessee, my last thing here was that they didn't reach the Final Four again. And I don't know if this team, they're good enough to be in the Final Four, but I don't think it's outwardly like it's similar to Illinois, where they lost to a number 1 seed who was supposed to win. The difference probably between the two is that Illinois got blown out. Although I will say if there's no 30-0 run, Illinois wins 52-47. That's just me. Just saying. Think about that for a second. That didn't happen. Illinois wins the game by 5.
If Brad Underwood doesn't say if he blocks us 100 times, he blocks us 100 times, and then they get blocked 27 times.
Yeah.
They might have a chance, but I mean, UConn's different. When they start getting going, they start running. I mean, UConn probably had their D game in that first half, and then we saw the A game in the second, and it was ugly. So
yeah. All right, let's get to a few storylines from the Final Four here. You have UConn looking to repeat as national champions for the first time since Florida did it in 06, 07. Billy Donovan teams. They returned everybody in 07 pretty much. So they beat Ohio State in 07, and then they beat UCLA in 06. So those teams kind of, at least the 07 team, well, actually both teams kind of lost a couple games late in the season and then just turned it on. The 06 Florida team lost 3 straight and then won their final 2 regular season games and then didn't lose again. They won 9 straight after that. And then the 07 team lost 3 of their last 5 and then won their last game and then won 9 straight. So 10 straight there. Those teams also won conference tournaments. And then obviously this UConn team, they haven't lost since February 20th against Creighton, that game where they got blown out on the road. They have won 11 straight, and they can get to 13 straight if they win it all. Last year, they lost in the Big East tournament semifinals to Marquette and then won 6 straight. But before that, they had won 5 or 6 straight before losing to Marquette. So they won 12 of 13 to end the year last year. And here they are again. They're 35-3. They went 18-2 in the Big East. They've dominated everybody they've played. Somehow, Tristan Newton, who's probably, second or third best player in the country by some numbers and overall top 5, no doubt. Like, he's second in the Kim Pom MVP standings. I think he's on the same list as, like, after Edey, you have Connect, you have Shannon, you have a couple other guys you could throw in the mix, and I think Newton's right there. And the fact that he didn't even make a field goal against Illinois. He went 0 for 8 from the field, or 0 for 6 from the field, and had 5 points and 5 assists, and they win that game the way they do, I think says a lot about how good this team is. And we'll get to them in a minute. A couple other storylines. Nate Oats continues to succeed at Alabama, gets to the first Final Four, I believe. Is this their first Final Four in program history? I think it is.
Yes, I believe they said that, yeah.
So it's their first ever. It's Purdue's first since
1980.
80, and then it's NC State's first since I believe 83.
Yeah,
and then
something like that.
It's UConn's 7th since 99. So
difference. Yeah.
But yeah, Nate Oats, I think, is honestly, I don't see how anybody could look at the coaching landscape in college basketball and not think Nate Oats is one of the best. Like, he won 2 tournament games at Buffalo, made the tournament 3 out of 4 years. Bobby Hurley did a good job at Buffalo before he took over, but he comes to Alabama, well known for being a football school. He's brought in so much talent, whether it's the portal or the recruiting trail. He had Brandon Miller last year, who's a top 3, I think number 2 overall pick in the draft. Sweet 16 and 21. That team should have gotten further. They lost to UCLA. And then Sweet 16 last year should have gotten further. They lost to San Diego State. They were a 1 seed. And this year they're a 4 seed, the 3rd worst seed he's gotten or the 3rd best seed, I guess, out of the 4 times they made the tournament. And here they are. I think we all thought this team was good. I don't know if we thought they'd get this far just because there's some inconsistency with the way they play. They're 104th defensive efficiency in the country. They are kind of this year's Miami. Some people thought it might be Illinois. Could have been Illinois based on the draw, but obviously Alabama took care of North Carolina, then beat Clemson. And here they are. But I think Nate Oats, he's got to be in the conversation. Like, these are 3, Kevin Keats aside, these are 3 of the best coaches in the country. In terms of the coaches that you think of when you think of 2010s and 2020s basketball, these are 3 of the best. It's hard to think of who else would even be on that list because I'm kind of taking away Izzo and Self and some of the older guys. But yeah, Nate Oats is a good coach.
Yeah, coaching high school basketball 11 years ago.
Yep, it's been a long time doing that. Did you see that Drake? Did you see that Drake hired some D2 coach from Missouri who has 11 conference titles?
Yeah, he's won like back-to-back national championships or
I think
something.
he's won 4 Division II titles and won 11
Okay.
straight conference titles or something. So weird hire, but who knows? It could work out. Those guys are like those types of guys are basketball lifers.
Yeah.
Moving along, NC State, shocking, unbelievable run. I don't understand it. It's fun for everybody, I guess. You got one of these teams, even though it's going to make for probably a worse Final Four game because I just don't see how they can hang with Purdue. But it's a fun story regardless, and obviously the DJ Burns thing.
Yeah, I NC State plays. They move the ball well. When they need a bucket, Horn becomes unconscious. They find cutters, and yeah, DJ Burns. The problem is he's gonna have to start shooting those shots over Zach Edey. So I don't know how that's gonna look, but it's been a fun ride. I mean, it's impressive.
I'm trying to find. I don't know if they've had a matchup against like a prominent 7-footer this year. They probably
Big
have.
guy, yeah. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I think. I think Burns is 6'9", right?
Yeah, he had 15. He had 15, 5 and 5 against Jonas Adu in Tennessee. So that's not bad.
Yeah,
60% shooting. He's just got really good touch. So if he can get it up there, he's going to make it.
Yeah, yep. He can. If he can find a way to get Edey, a couple fouls on him too. He's got great footwork for a big guy, so they're gonna have to have things fall their way. I think to have a shot in this game, though.
Yeah, which they've had that happen multiple times in the last month. So who knows?
Absolutely, yeah.
Purdue continues to redeem themselves after losing to a 16 seed in the first round last season. Teams coming off of losing to a 16 seed are now 10-0 in the tournament. Virginia went 6-0, Purdue's 4-0. So,
yeah, I do like the Discord on Twitter that Purdue still has a chance to lose the double-digit seed too. So,
yeah, I think those are people trying to talk themselves into thinking that's going to happen. I hate to bring it to them. I mean, nobody's been more wrong about NC State than me.
I was gonna say, better calm down on this NC State. So. Does anybody want that? I mean, does anybody not want UConn Purdue? I guess casuals, right? Like, yeah, everybody wants upsets. So
I don't think people realize that UConn would probably beat NC State by like 50.
Yeah.
I don't see how there's any NC State. If UConn's proved anything is that they have perimeter guards who can shut other, like Terrence Shannon didn't do anything against them. And you don't think that they could just throw Newton or Castle on Horn and just dominate them? That's the most intriguing thing to me is how Purdue guards put up with how good UConn's perimeter is defensively. Like that's going to be a huge challenge. But maybe Alabama ruins it. Who knows?
Yeah. And I did see a tweet about it. Shout out to Matt Painter, one of the best coaches, like you said. The move to Lance Jones on Connect, I think, changed that game too. Because Connect was doing whatever he wanted, and Lance Jones got moved on him. Smart move.
Yep. Let's do Purdue NC State. This game's 5:09, the first game of the night on Saturday. We got DJ Burns, Zach Edey. Interesting matchup from that standpoint. There's a couple other things in this game that I find interesting. Purdue didn't shoot it very well against Tennessee from 3, but also Tennessee had no answer underneath, so that was a big factor there. I do expect NC State to have some opportunities offensively to get some shots up and put some points up because they're 9th in the country in turnover percentage. And like a lot of other Big Ten teams, Purdue doesn't force a ton of turnovers. They're 343rd in turnover percentage of the defensive end. So there's going to be opportunities for NC State to get the ball up and try to score, which I think will be a factor here. I just don't know if NC State's going to have the horses to keep – like they're going to need Purdue to have another bad shooting night.
Right.
And I think DJ Horn's going to need to be good too.
NC State has length, right? Diarra's long. They could disrupt their guards a little bit. I know Horn's not very big, but I think the other guys might have some length to do some disruption. But I think if they just speed it to Edey like they did against Tennessee, that NC State's going to be in trouble. So
the thing about DJ Horn is he spent 2 years at Illinois State. He was good there, shot 40% from 3 both years. Then 2 years at Arizona State, They made the tournament last year, which is still a bit of a surprise. They lost to TCU in the first round last year as an 11 seed. He wasn't as efficient there, though. Shot 36% from three, 35% from three, and 38% from two last year. Then he comes to NC State, 5th year, and he's been like really efficient. Like he's 81% from the free throw line. He's 41% from three. He's 46% from two. So +8, +6, and about the same free throw percentage as last year. So I think that's a big factor is his growth. Obviously, being a 5th-year guard, it's important for you to kind of, be a leader and be a guy who they can rely on to score. But there's other players in this team that they're going to need to show up, like Jaden Taylor, another guard who hasn't scored very much, but he's played 20-plus minutes in a lot of games this year. They're going to need him to play some quality defense on whatever guard is thrown at them. I think I worry about the three-point shooting for NC State because they're going to need to make some, and they're not great at it. 34%. Really only guys you can rely on from a percentage standpoint is Horn and I guess O'Connell, who shoots at 37. So another thing is their backcourt is a bit small. Like Horn 6'2", Morcell 6'3", O'Connell 6'2". But underneath they do have Burns 6'9", Middlebrook 6'10", Diarra 6'10". So they have those three guys. I don't know what they're going to try to do with Edey. There was a couple plays yesterday where Tennessee, like Connect, would help off of Gillis, and then Gillis would have a wide open three in the corner. He missed it, but he's not going to miss those.
He doesn't usually miss those. Yeah,
he missed 2 of them yesterday. So
back to back. And the announcer was like, "Oh, you can't leave him open." I'm like, "Well, he missed them both." I mean, that's one of those things. Like if he makes them, I guess you say that. But
I bet you he shoots like 60% from the corner though.
Probably.
Gillis, yeah. But hey, I mean, Tennessee only had 1 day to prepare, so NC State's got multiple days to prepare, so they can throw some different looks at them.
Yeah.
But Purdue's guards are better, but NC State is confident, so we'll see. I'll make a pick on that here in a minute, but I'm sure people could guess what my pick's going to look like. The night game, the second game, definitely the most intriguing game out of the two, is UConn Alabama. UConn has the loudest, most confident fan base, rightfully so, probably that I've ever seen. They're just an absolute machine. This is the number 1 offense in UConn, the number 3 offense in Alabama. The difference is that UConn's defense is 4th and Alabama's 104th in efficiency. So that's a bit of a problem. And you know what? Alabama,
it's Illinois all over again, right?
Yes. Yeah. Pretty well. Yeah. Illinois
numbers wise.
Yeah. Illinois' defense did get up to like 80 before the matchup, but not much of a difference in that regard. And Alabama's much better 3-point shooting team than Illinois. A big factor here is going to be the glass. Alabama is 35.2% in offensive rebound percentage. That's 23rd. UConn's 36.6%. That's 13th. However, UConn on the defensive glass, 81st in offensive rebound percentage. So they're not bad on the defensive glass, but Alabama is 272nd. So second chance opportunities could kill Alabama in this game, among other things that UConn does. They move the ball really well. They cut a ton. You got 5 days to prepare for your Nate Oats. I think that's a good thing for Alabama, but Alabama is going to have to play an A game if UConn even plays like a C+ game.
They're going to have to make 15 threes to win this game.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean against North Carolina, they made 11.
Yeah.
And against Clemson, they made 16. So the problem is, like, Clemson's a good team, but is Chase Hunter and Joe Girard up against Mark Sears and Aaron Estrada even remotely close to probably seeing Castle guarding, whoever, Estrada and then Newton guarding? Like, that's just a different planet.
Yeah.
They're not going to make 16 threes. I think that would be shocking if that happened. I did right, though. I did right. I think Alabama has to make a bunch of threes to have a chance.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If UConn has Newton, Caravan, and Spencer making shots, like, game over. That's it. So who knows? But they got big bodies. I mean, height-wise, they have Grant Nelson 6'11", but he's not really known for being elite defender. He blocks shots.
Yeah.
They got Pringle 6'10", Walter 6'10", and Mohammed Wagyu 6'10". He doesn't play very much. And Jaron Stevenson, who played 25 minutes at 19 against Clemson. But they got a lot of length, but I don't know if it's going to matter against what UConn does.
Yeah, and it sounds like Right Cell's supposed to be back. So you got another 3-point weapon coming back, which is good.
Yeah, I mean, this matchup could be close. I don't know. We're kind of saying the same things we said about the Illinois-UConn game, and that didn't end up – it was 23-23 to be fair.
Yeah. And then 30-0 run.
Yeah, well, Illinois wins by 5. That doesn't happen. So, I got Purdue 81-69 over NC State, and then I have UConn 89-68 over Alabama. So I'm predicting a 2016 Final Four, and then I'm going to say UConn-Purdue will be within a possession game because I think Villanova-North Carolina was a 1 or 2 point game that year.
Yeah, I think that these are going to be 15-point games. I think UConn's going to win comfortably against Purdue, though. I think 10 points. So
maybe. I mean, we could probably do a Monday afternoon pregame for the game next week. So we'll be back before that.
Yeah, UConn, NC State. Can't wait.
Alabama, NC State. You got any picks for the women's Elite Eight tonight? LSU, Iowa.
Give me LSU. And,
who are you rooting for?
I don't care.
All right. Didn't know if you were like going anti-Iowa.
No, I'm not a hater on either group of women. So I didn't call them girls. You like that? Give me LSU by 6.
And the other game is so relevant to me because I don't even know who it is. So
USC and somebody.
it's USC and UConn. Actually, yeah, that's a good game too. Give me UConn. Give me the Huskies.
Yeah, UConn. Going to win them both.
UConn, NC State national championship in both men's and women's. I think that's still in play.
Yeah, I think so.
Man, NC State.
How the hell? In South Carolina, though. Kevin
Keats would be looking for a job right now if they lost to Louisville, and now they're in the Final Four.
I mean, if Virginia fouls up 3, they never have a chance.
Pathetic.
It's insane. It's actually insane. But props to them. I mean, it's been a.
Are you going to be rooting for them over Purdue?
No, because I want UConn Purdue so bad.
Yeah, but I was fully prepared to root for the Big Ten yesterday, and I kind of found myself rooting for Tennessee.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I didn't care that much, but the two guys I was with, they were rooting way against Purdue. Like, I thought you were a Big Ten guy, though. What are you doing?
I kind of wish it was like Rutgers or something.
Okay. That makes sense.
So, also throw this out there. Alabama, big run for you, huh?
Yeah.
They've done their job.
Made money. I keep betting against them to try to hedge, and they keep proving me wrong. So I guess I got to bet on UConn.
Yeah,
That'll win me. I think it's like $10 to win $250. So.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Well, so we got a UConn Purdue national championship, which is what was in my bracket, to be fair.
Same.
I think my Final Four was UConn, Arizona, Houston, Purdue. So 2 for 4.
Mine was UConn, Duke had a chance. Purdue and who did I pick out of that other one?
North Carolina?
No.
Arizona?
Baylor, I think.
Baylor? Oh, God.
Not Baylor. Arizona, maybe. Can't remember. I had a chance to go 3 for 4. I think I thought about 3 for 4 in the other one, though.
I thought about throwing.
I have UConn and Purdue in both of mine that I'm leading. Well, I'm not leading the one at Edgewood, but the other one that I'm leading, I had Bama in that one too. So I had three of the 4 in that one. Domination.
Definitely. I'm checking mine here.
The Edgewood one, I think I have a chance for like 3rd place, maybe, if Purdue wins it all.
I'm in 2nd place in the Illini Basketball Podcast.
That was just funsies. I had Illinois winning it all. So.
Alex of Armchair is ahead of me by quite a bit. but he has UConn winning the national championship. So I have Purdue.
Yeah.
So that'll be the big determining factor, but another dominating performance by me. So
Good work.
yeah, definitely. All right, we will do a national championship preview and probably recap right after the game, which is usually like 11 minutes. Look back at the Kansas North Carolina one. That one didn't take long at all. But if you're interested in the Illini basketball podcast, we got a 10-hour special coming
Stuff
sometime,
going on.
probably this weekend. So
Yeah.
check all that out, and we'll see everybody next Monday. Purdue, UConn. Goodbye.